Hey, good morning. I want to talk a little bit about why your employees are quitting. And this is one of the most, it's like many concepts in business. It is so simple to understand, yet it is so complicated in practice. But any business that's looking to scale simply has to understand how to not just acquire, but more importantly, how to retain talent. How do you keep people in your business in a way that isn't, and I'm not necessarily knocking these things, but I kind of am. How do you keep people in your business that doesn't necessarily involve a golden handcuff per se, where they're stuck with you, or any sorts of loyalty programs where once they hit like that 5 year mark, they get all these perks, and not just loyalty programs. I'm talking about just perks in the business. I talked to a business owner who they were like, he was so proud of the arcade room that he had for his employees, and I want to help you understand that it's first of all two things. Perks can only go so far, but two, the only secret sauce that is useful in getting your people to stay with you, it's simply understanding who they are, what motivates them, and then actually caring about that. So you get to a point in your business where it's time to scale. It's time to grow your business. It's time to move the business forward. And everyone gets to this point eventually because you can only do so much in a 24-hour day, right? And so, you've been growing your business, you've been working on your business, but you hit this bottleneck, which is you. And you can't clone yourself, you can't multiply yourself, so you do the very next best thing. You try to find someone else who will hopefully take over parts of your business so that you can continue focusing on growing the business. Well, see, what happens though is once you bring that person in, now part of your business strategy isn't just the customer facing side of things. It's now I have this internal strategy. I have an internal strategy that's now primarily focused on how do I make this person like working here? And more importantly, how do I get them to stay? And this is such a funny concept because so many businesses don't understand how to do this effectively, or they're incredibly short-sighted. I can't tell you how many stories of people who, well, if they leave, we'll just find somebody else. And you don't realize that the money and time, excuse me, the money and time that you're spending to replace that employee is killing you long term. It's infinitely more profitable for your business to keep someone on your team who is producing for you. When I say producing, I mean they're adding to your bottom line. And so what typically happens is businesses try things like golden handcuffs, they try things like loyalty programs, they try things like perks, and I've railed against, stop bragging about beer on Friday or your foosball table. Or I had one guy, we were talking about culture, and he talked about he has like, what's it called, pinball machines in his break room. And at the end of the day, no one's gonna stay because you got him a pinball machine. Well, there's this great book out. It's called The Invisible Employee. It's actually been out for a long time. It's called The Invisible Employee. And the basic premise of this book, it's so simple to understand. It's that your best employees are going to quit first. Your best employees are going to leave first because they are the most hireable. They're the most talented. But see, if you're going to grow your business, you should be desperately trying to hold on to your people. I put out an article, I reshared it actually. It's from the Atlanta Bank, maybe the Atlanta Federal Reserve. I can't remember what it was exactly. But I had been marinating on this concept for actually several years now because I was working in a business and I was working in leadership in a business, and we were talking about retention of our talent. We were having this issue of retaining our employees, and I was talking with the CEO and I was sharing articles. This is actually articles that Forbes had put out, that LinkedIn actually had done research on themselves and had pointed out that you are going to basically make infinitely more money, sometimes up to 50% more money by switching jobs every 2 to 3 years. And I was showing it to her saying like, okay, we can't afford to replace our talent every 2 to 3 years. We need to have our people stay. So how do we do this, right? And it's we have this conversation of what's every other way we can get someone to stay other than paying them more money. And I was talking to someone who I was coaching someone, I was working with a business, and she was talking about this position she was trying to fill. Someone had left, and she said, the average pay in this job in my industry is $70,000. That's the average pay, or the starting pay, typically. And she said, I have around $35,000, though, that I can put towards this position. And looking at me as the coach, as the mentor for her business, she said, okay, so what's the answer? How do I find someone who will take half of what the average starting pay is for this position? And I laughed and just smiled and said, it sounds like you need to go find $35,000 more dollars, because no one who's worth having is going to take half of their starting pay to come work for you. You don't have a strong enough brand for it. You don't have, we're not talking about, you're not SpaceX. You're not a company that has so much swag with it that people are willing to, take a pay cut to come work for you. You're a respectfully a random business in a random town, and people have a lot of options. And so if you're going to be at the top of someone's list, you have to be thinking of what motivates people. And it's not because people are greedy. It's not because people are selfish, but it's because money does a lot of things for a lot of people, and there's nothing unsexy about saying that. So that's unfortunately the answer. A lot of times we're looking for ways to motivate and retain talent without hurting our bottom line. But I want to challenge you. I had a person who was running a business, and she came to me and said, hey, I'm looking for ways to retain talent, and I have some hourly employees. Is there any way I can get away with paying them less than minimum wage? And I thought I was misunderstanding her. And I said, okay, what do you mean? You mean pay them more than minimum wage? And she goes, no, I want to, I know what minimum wage is. I would like to pay them less, if that's okay. No, that's illegal. You can't, you can't do that. Yeah, I know I can't, but is there any way, like, I know there's a lot of loopholes in business. Is there any way I can get around paying them less than minimum wage? I was like, no. And I said, what's the deal here? And she said, I just can't afford to pay them more. And I said, respectfully, if you can't afford to pay them more, you are failing as a business owner. And it's not even about them. You have a failing business, bottom line. That's all there is to it. And what I've found is that people in business, because of their own inability to lead and strategize, they make their frontline employees pay the price for it. Especially during COVID right now, times are hard, circumstances are really complicated. But for the businesses out there who have record-breaking profits or who are doing incredibly well, make sure that your people aren't at the same time complaining about pay. I love the example of the real estate company. I shared this last December, who had made incredible profits over the year, and they paid back to their employees sometimes as high as 5 figures in bonuses, basically saying, hey, you guys got us here. Thank you for your hard work. Remember the people who are making your business happen. And more importantly, if you plan on scaling your business, you're going to need people to do it. So learn how to take care of them. A ping pong table won't do it. Beanbag chair won't do it. You have to learn how to actually motivate your people and retain them, because again, it's infinitely more profitable for your bottom line not to lose them. See ya.